Welcome to Crawlspace. Tonight we have a really special episode with Brianna's friend, Katie Manning. Thanks to Chloe for setting this episode up. She's not here in the intro, but it's important to mention her because she got to know Katie, and in their conversations that they had, they talked about some really interesting things. More interesting than the things we played before from Katie Manning.
Interesting and impactful, too. And we've had internal conversations about whether or not this information should go out there. And to pretty much use Katie's words, it's time. Everyone's fed up. Everyone has the thoughts and the opinions there, and no one's put it in a public forum. And it's a general consensus for the most part, and it's time someone spoke up. And Katie's good. She's really badass about it. She knows what she's talking about, and there wasn't a whole lot of ifs and buts in there.
Follow us on Twitter at CrawlspacePod. Thank you very much for listening. Welcome to Crawlspace, Katie. Thank you very much for coming on and talking with us. When you first heard that Bri had gone missing, what did you think happened to her?
Initially, I didn't believe it at all. I didn't. I thought maybe she was just not trying to talk to her parents for a while. Wasn't that out of the ordinary to do that at that age?
So how long was it before it became an issue?
When they launched the first search party, that's when it kind of got more real. For me, anyways. I think for me and all of her friends at that point, I remember hearing that they had found her tied to a tree in the woods in Montgomery. And in that moment, it became real.
Who did you hear that from?
Oh, gosh. It was just a high school rumor. I really couldn't tell you who I heard it from first.
Okay, so it wasn't the case where somebody was found tied to a tree and there was an emergency that it might be her, and then the body was discovered to not be her. There was actually no body. It was a rumor.
Right.
Do you know who generated that rumor, or was it just...
I don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
Were there any sightings that felt legit to you or you thought were real?
Yeah. The news channel, I don't remember what channel news it was, whether it was 5 or 3 up here, had come to my house. Gosh, I think I was 20, so about 3 years in. They'd come to my house with a surveillance video of a girl who moved, just looked like it was Brianna in my eyes in Atlantic City. And at that point, my opinion changed 100%. And I actually considered, oh my God, she's alive. And I guess they chased that down and it was nothing, but.
When you say they, that's the Vermont State Police?
Yes.
And did they get back to you and say this is nothing, or you just didn't hear anything?
I just didn't hear anything.
So you now believe that wasn't Brianna?
I don't think so. No. I don't think she's been here for a long time.
And now a brief word from our new sponsor, BarkBox.
I have a cat. I know you give me a lot of crap sometimes that I have a cat and not a dog. You have a wonderful dog. Is there something out there that your dog Brady, not named after Tom Brady?
That's incorrect.
How could you make little Brady happy?
Treats. She loves toys. She loves squeaky toys especially. She loves to play. She's a really tiny dog, so she's got a lot of energy running around the house, jumping around and everything. But she's been really loving this thing called BarkBox. It's a monthly delivery service 4 to 6 natural treats, and super fun toys curated around a surprise theme each month. So for dogs, BarkBox is like the joy of a million belly scratches.
The joy of a million belly scratches. What a great way to put it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, BarkBox was established in 2011, and they realized that they needed to commit to making dogs happy. They work with local and independent businesses to achieve it. In fact, they only work with vendors who also care deeply about the health and happiness of dogs. So little Brady there should be happy, right? I mean, what was her reaction when she first got the BarkBox?
She's actually really picky with toys and treats, but she ate the treats, which I was actually really surprised at. I figured she might turn her nose up because she's kind of like that sometimes. And with the toys, too, they all squeak, and that's the trick for my dog, Brady. If they don't squeak, she's not that interested.
So I don't own a dog, but this is still good for me. Maybe I'll get a dog at some point. But if I'm looking to give a gift to a friend or a family member, BarkBox is a new, exciting gift to give. Each gift subscription includes toys, as you mentioned, treats, and a unique theme every month.
Yeah, you just tell him how big your dog is. He's either in the small and cute pile, which is 0 to 20 pounds, just right, 20 to 50 pounds, or big and bold. You choose a plan. 1, 6, or 12-month plans are available. Cancel anytime. It's free shipping. BarkBoxes are shipped on the 15th of each month, so you should be excited for this. Your dog will be. So check out barkbox.com/crawlspace for a free extra month of BarkBox when you subscribe to a 6 or 12-month plan.
Why wouldn't you subscribe to a 6 or 12-month plan?
You want to make your dog happy, right? I mean, they're just so much fun. They love you so much. Make them happy. Make their day at least once a month.
I think I remember seeing an interview with Chloe Maitland where I think she and several other people really did think it was her at first too, but I think they were able to clear up the footage, and she saw the woman from a different angle and realized that it probably wasn't her. So that was my understanding, but maybe they found some other way to confirm or deny it.
And you were 20, right? So you said it was 3 years into Brianna's disappearance. Were people still maintaining some hope that she was out there, that it was a runaway, or what was the general feeling among her friends at the time and family?
That's a hard question to answer. It depended on the day. I think that myself, and I'll speak for my best friend Megan Jefferson, I think that we believed there was hope at that point. I don't know. It's changed so much. It's a roller coaster. It really, really is. There's no other way to explain it. She's alive, she's dead. She's alive, she's dead. I don't know.
What do you think now?
I think she's dead, and I think that's been the case since day one. And being 16, 17 in the moment of that, and not willing to accept the reality that such evil could be living in our backyard, I guess, it just didn't hit for me. It wasn't, I don't know, but now, yeah, I 100% believe she's gone.
When you say hit in your backyard, you still live there, right?
I do.
What kept you there? Why didn't you leave?
I have left. I've left, and I've come back, and now I stay because I have a 4-year-old, and what I see happen in the news here versus what I see happen in the news it's the same in every state, or we're looking good. I mean, per capita, it's crazy here, but I don't know. This is home.
Do you believe you know who's responsible for what happened to Brianna?
Responsible as in who took her life? No. But who do I believe? I believe 100% I know who could bring closure.
And being in that area, are you apprehensive around this person, people? Are you afraid?
I wouldn't say afraid. The feeling I get when I see these people is unlike anything I've ever felt. but it's not fear.
Is there a way that you can elaborate a little bit on that? Because I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, and I don't. Maybe you're more brave than I am.
Yes, I'll answer. Yes, you are.
There's one person in particular that I was close to out of these few guys. I almost said gentlemen. Out of these few guys, that he's the one that I see in my stomach. I cringe. I sweat immediately. All I want to do is punch him in his face. He hugged me when I cried over this. And then minutes later would go and discuss with other people how he watched the life drain out of her. Like, it's just, I'm not afraid because I don't think that they are killers. I think that this is the situation that went badly and they handled it the worst way they possibly could have handled it. And I don't understand how we're sitting here 13 plus years later and he hasn't, this one person, hasn't owned up to it in any way, shape, or form.
So what do you think happened?
I think one way or another, how it was brought on, I don't know, but I think that drugs were involved, and I think that Brianna consumed more than she should have, whether it was by force or by choice. I don't know enough to say, but I believe that an overdose is what led to it. And maybe she could have been helped, maybe she couldn't have been. A phone call that should have happened, and they shouldn't have hit everything.
And then everyone just freaked out if she overdosed, and then they freaked out and tried to hide the fact that she freaked out because they were using drugs?
That's what I think, yeah.
How long after her disappearance did you become aware of this person's involvement or these people being involved and formulate that theory?
The people involved have changed, but the one that I keep going back to is this one person has been mentioned from the second it happened. He's always somehow managed to be in the middle of every theory, it seems. So, I don't know. I think I've seen it the whole time. I just would have defended him the first few years afterwards. And wow.
What do you mean defended him?
I thought he was my friend. I believed his innocence. I did. I was as young and dumb as they came.
Why do you think law enforcement hasn't made an arrest?
Because they can't. They don't have the evidence. They can't.
They don't have the evidence. They don't have anything connecting the person that you're talking about other than hearsay, right? Other than, I heard him say this at a party, or this person told me that he said this. And I'm sure if the police approach him and ask him, he's going to say no. And at that point, I don't think that a judge will issue any search warrant or any sort of subpoena to do anything to bring somebody like that in, because you only have one shot. If I'm not mistaken, you can't keep going at it until you get a conviction or a confession. What do you think it would take?
I think that pressure needs to be applied. I know he isn't someone that can handle, if they were to come to him and say, listen, this is happening, you're going to go to jail, and this is the rest of your life, or it's the rest of this other idiot's life. What do you want to do here? We know that you didn't, I don't know, I guess they can't say we know that you didn't kill her, but to say you can lessen your charges but how could they ever do that without having proof to press the charges? I think if the cops had done their job in the first place, obviously we'd be elsewhere. But
yeah, I'm not sure. I believe what would the crime be if it wasn't intentional? Would it be manslaughter, or would it be improperly disposing of a body? Because maybe these people just don't realize that it's not murder.
Would be. I don't know what it would be.
If I understand correctly, malice murder there needed to be some sort of intention to kill. And, you know, the crime that we're discussing right now is not that.
Right. You're talking premeditation versus opportunity versus accidental. There's so many different layers there, I'm sure. I can imagine that there's a lot of anger among the group of friends that you have, that, you know, Brianna was a part of that group. Does it get easier as the years go by, or does it get, do you get like more angry as the years go by?
I don't think that I don't get more angry. You get tired. It gets old, you know. I had to step back from the vigil for a little bit. I had to step back from it all. It consumes you, you know. I've lost a lot of friends. I'm sure, as you know, drugs are a big issue up here, and I've had more than my fair share go, but this is so different. Having no closure whatsoever, just the way it haunts you. It does. It just never fades away. That pain can come back the same as it was the first day you found out 13 years later.
Would that pain alleviate at all if the case was solved?
I believe it would. I mean, yeah, you get that closure, I think, yeah.
Do you mind if I take it back just a little bit and ask you a little bit about Brianna and when you knew her? Is there a memory that stands out for you that you'd want to share?
Yeah, actually, Chloe was nice enough to bring that back up for me. You know, I always think the negative. I always focus on since she's been gone, but that conversation with Chloe brought back a lot of it for me. There was one night Brianna and she decided that she wanted to dye her hair this crazy purple color. I mean, it's really common now to see girls have their hair like that, but then it didn't happen. But yeah, she wanted to dye her hair. So we decided we would play hairdresser and go ahead and do that in my mother's bathroom. And Bri was always dancing around, always acting, she was goofy. So she had the hair dye in her hair, this dark, deep, crazy red, and she decided she was going to dance around my mother's bathroom, my mother's white bathroom. There's still paint on my mother's wall, and the side of her mirror and her sink from Brianna's hair. I think we went through like 6 bath towels. We totally trashed the place doing her hair that color, but hey, it looked good.
That's amazing. How did the two of you, and we heard the conversation, it was a great conversation that you were gracious enough to allow Chloe to record. I really like the story about how the two of you met. I just kind of want to hear it from you.
On the school bus is how we met. I was starting in a new high school, riding the bus, because that was cool. So I climbed on the bus, and you know, you just get dirty looks. Everybody's looking you up and down. And there was Brianna in the middle of it all, patting her seat. You can sit with me. And I sat down with her, and she was telling me how pretty my hair was. And she was just, I don't know, she was just very inviting, I guess.
Lance, here in the Crawlspace studios, we love fresh ingredients, don't we? Not just with food, but with our shows. But speaking of food, we like the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country.
It's on the tip of my tongue. Which one is that? Which one? I'm kidding. That's Blue Apron, right?
Of course, you know it. Their mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone, and I would say they achieve it.
They achieve it by supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients and building a community of home chefs. And we are now, we're talking about the Crawlspace studios, which we should just call Crawlspace, right? Because it's kind of redundant.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
We are now our own personal studio home chefs, if you will. And I will.
Ooh, you did, yeah.
And I did.
What I like about Blue Apron and the Crawlspace, cooking together and recording together, it builds strong family bonds. I mean, whether you like it or not, we're sort of a little family here. And research shows that Blue Apron families cook nearly 3 times more often.
And you know what we should start doing now that we're new in the crawl space here? Instead of back in the day when we used to call up and get takeout and get delivery, and we spend so much money on these delivery services, we should get Blue Apron delivered right to the crawl space. I mean, you spend $10 per person for a delicious meal.
That's a great idea, and we can just cook it up in our kitchenette and be off and running to a delicious dinner.
We could be off and running to specifically baked spinach and egg flatbread with sauteed asparagus, and I know you love this part, the lemon aioli. You're always saying, we need more lemon aioli.
You can't get delivery of crispy salmon and roasted potato salad with pickled mustard seeds and creme fraiche sauce, right? It only comes from Blue Apron. You got to get it delivered to you and then cook it. So check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/crawlspace. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait.
That's blueapron.com/crawlspace. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
How many people do you think know what happened?
Gosh, I don't know. At least 4.
Are they all still in the area?
Yep.
One of the parts of what we've read and what's out there that just keeps gnawing at me, and I know that it's been looked into and dismissed, was the fact that her boyfriend saw her car that night or early that morning and didn't stop, and it just, that whole scenario confuses me. What's your feelings on that?
It's not that random up here to just drive by somebody's car. I mean, then it wasn't. I can say now I would think it weird if I drove by one of my girlfriend's cars parked in a field. To see the car parked like that, obviously that's different. I've heard how the car was originally not like that, and then it was. I think it was like that the whole time. But to be partying in a field, be it March, wasn't that crazy to have happen up here. So for him to drive by and see it and not think much, it's pretty possible.
What's the story up there about what he was doing? Because what we've heard is that, until recently, that he was in Canada partying and he came back through. And he came back through at 4 in the morning. He came back. Yeah, we've heard that he was in Canada partying and he came back through at 4 in the morning and saw her car. I'm looking at your face right now, and it seems like you're a little skeptical of that, but I don't want to read into it too much. And we've also heard other things. And it just, there's something that we can't put our finger on. There's something that's just not connecting right there for us. It was the story always that he was in Canada partying and came back through at 4 and was like, oh, I just didn't see her car. I mean, I just didn't see her at the car, and I told the cops everything, and I'm good.
That's been the story that I've heard all along, but I couldn't agree with you more. There's something missing there.
Is he still in the area?
Yes.
No kidding.
And that was her ex-boyfriend at the time, right?
Right.
Okay.
I actually was just talking to his girlfriend earlier today, which is a little random.
But she and James were still in pretty active contact. I thought that was my understanding. Like, wasn't she in his truck when Keely punched her?
Yes.
Okay, but they weren't dating at the time, but they still were in contact.
Right. There was a small group of us that hung out, and sometimes you dated your friends, I guess. I stayed out of that, but I was the only one.
Just to be clear for the listeners who are talking about, my bad, it wasn't her current boyfriend, it was her ex-boyfriend, James Robitelli. So James still lives in the area. And is there any time anybody talks to him about this? Or does he talk about it? Or is it what? I guess I don't know the question I'm trying to ask.
Well, you met up with his girlfriend today. Like, obviously it didn't come up, right? But has he ever talked to her about it or anything like that, you think?
Does it hang over people? Do you get the sense that it hangs over people?
I kind of would hope so. I've never had that conversation with her, so I wouldn't know, but I would hope so. I would imagine so. I've been questioned 100 times over the years, so I would assume that it's the same for people on the other aspect.
You've been questioned by the local police or the state police?
The state police, yeah.
And what have you told them?
They've asked me literally the same questions. It was every 2 years, the majority of this time. And they would ask me the same questions every time. Have I heard anything new? Do I feel that they should contact anyone different? And do I feel like they're asking the right questions is what they would say to me. Like I know what you're saying to other people in their interviews, but. And
you've shared with them the stories about your former friend who talked about seeing the light leave Brianna's eyes?
Sure have.
What's their reaction to that?
I don't even know if they've spoke to him since then. So I would hope so, but
is that name like a name of prominence up there? The person we're talking about, is it somebody who, you know, if the police, like, are they above the law up there? I'm trying to figure out, is it a small town thing?
It is a small town thing. His parents own a lot of land. They do a lot of farming, you know. As for above the law, I don't think so. I think the cops feel like they attempted that and they missed, and they can't really do that again without his father, who specifically said, if you continue to do this, I'm going to file suit for harassment. So, I mean, they're kind of stuck there. They had drained a manure pit at one of their properties. These people own, that I know of, 4, right? I mean, they're probably within about 10 to 15 miles of each other, but they had only gone to this one property. So when they said, oh, hey, what about this place? They weren't having it.
They allowed them to search one. They drained a manure pit. Based on that, they wanted to search more properties. And that wasn't enough to say, hey, it doesn't matter what you think now. Because I guess, right, anybody can just have a saw in a manure pit. It could just fall in. That's reasonable enough. No, I guess a judge wouldn't sign off on that.
Probably not going to find any DNA in it on it at that point.
Absolutely, right. Man, that's frustrating. And this is why I asked the question before about, do you get more I feel like I just like stew on things so much. I feel like my head would explode after 13 years.
Is that guy's father complicit, or is he just unaware of what is going on with his son?
I think he's unaware, and that which he's been made aware of, he likes to pretend doesn't happen. He's got, 3 sons, 2 of which are very successful, very different from this one. This is his black sheep,
I just learned what this term is, and I was so excited to use it in a show if we got the opportunity to. Because we always talk about not doing something just for the convenience of not being inconvenienced, not to inconvenience your life. The cognitive dissonance. It sounds like there's a lot of cognitive dissonance up there. Like it, but you don't really, because it's going to be too much if it comes out.
Is there anything else that you want to say that you think we should ask, or that you think needs to be out there?
Not that they'll listen to it, but I believe that those that are involved do it now. Do it now before you're not given the chance, before you don't have the opportunity to cut the deal of a lifetime. Sounds like we're finally coming to the end of this hell. And I hope in turn each one of you gets yours.